Rolling. Friends, Romans, and countrymen, lend me your ears. All right, welcome to Daily Power Parsha. Today is Friday, March 12th, and it is great to see you all. We're in middle of the Torah portion of Vayakhel-Pekudei, a double portion, and there's a lot to talk about as we read about the building of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the space for God on earth. All right, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to jump right into the verses, and we are going to get cracking. All right, you should be able to see the Chabad.org webpage. Do you see that? Is that coming up? Thumbs up. Okay, great. We're up to, I believe, the fifth reading. Let's see if that makes sense. Let's pull it up. And here we talk about the garments. We read about the donation of the materials. We read about the beginning of the construction of the items of the tabernacle, the items of the Mishkan. And now we're getting into the garments. Now we're getting into the garments, or as they call in New York, the shmata business, right? The garment making business. And Betzalel, he made the ephod of gold, blue, purple, and crimson wool, and twisted fine linen. Remember, I told you before that wool and linen are not allowed to be woven together in garments, with the exception of the garments of the priest and the high priest. They had wool and linen garments together. They had garments woven of wool and linen together. They hammered out the sheets of gold. Listen to this. And cut threads from the gold threads, not gold-colored threads, sheets of gold cut into threads. And you may wonder, is that possible? I have no idea. It seems like it is possible. I'm not in the shmata business. You got to ask someone that's there, but this is what the Torah says. They made gold into threads from them to work, and the gold, they worked it into the blue wool. Can you imagine how gorgeous that looked? Blue wool with gold. I mean, it's gorgeous, right? Into the purple wool, they also mixed into the crimson wool, into the fine linen, the work of a master weaver. They made the connecting shoulder straps. You got it for it at both its ends. It was entirely connected, and its decorative band, which is above it, emanated from it. The same work: gold, blue, purple, and crimson wool, and twisted fine linen, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Let me clarify: these were specifically the garments of the high priest. I mentioned before Aaron and his sons, or the priests and the high priest. This is the high priest garments. These were the special 8 garments used by the high priest. And we're getting close to the Choshen. And they prepared, verse 6, the Shoham stones. Those are the 12 stones enclosed in gold settings, engraved, similar to the engravings of a seal, with the names of the sons of Israel, right? Engraved, the 12 tribes on the 12 stones.
What does Shoham mean, the word Shoham?
Sorry?
Shoham, the word, what does it mean, please?
I don't recall if we had a translation before. Let me see if I have, and I trust the other edition of the translation. Let's see if we got this explicated. All right, stay with me as we peruse this translation. I mean, on a simple level, Shoham stones are Shoham stones. What are you going to do? I was kidding. Oh, here it's also called Shoham stones. Unbelievable.
We don't
right.
really know.
Y'all can Google Shoham stones and see what comes up. Let me know. I believe Rashi had an explanation before. I just don't. I'm pretty sure we even saw it or referenced it on some level, but I can't remember what he said. And to look back now, it would be just a little too complicated. But put that on the burner for further research. We'll get our crack investigative team on it. Hey, Matt, good to see you. It's great to see you. All right, let's continue. And he put them, these were the stones. I'm sorry, these were not the 12 stones. These were the 2 stones that went on the shoulder straps of the ephod. He put them upon the shoulder straps of the ephod as stones of remembrance. These are the ones that were worn literally on the shoulders of Aaron, the high priest, as he walked through the temple. He was carrying 2 stones, 6 tribes on one side, 6 tribe names on the other side. Yeah, for the sons of Israel, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Let's continue. Now we get to the choshen. Now we get to the breastplate in front. He made the choshen, the work of a master weaver, like the work of the ephod, same material, gold, thread, blue, purple, and crimson wool, and twisted fine linen. It was square. And they made the choshen, doubled its length, one span, and its width, one span, doubled. It was doubled because it was folded, right? Remember, it was a square when it was folded, but unfolded, it was double, right? As you can imagine, if you take a sheet of paper, right? If this was square, and I don't know why I'm showing it to you, if literally this doesn't work for the purposes, but if this was square, right? But it's folded, that means that when you open it, it's double the size. I hope that makes sense. Let's continue. It was, we did that already, verse 10, and they filled it in with 4 rows of stones. By the way, if anyone Googled Shoham stones, let me know what you find. In the meantime, we're moving forward. So they put into the choshen 4 rows of stones. These are the 12 stones that I mentioned before. One row had the odem, pitda, and bareket. That was the one row. The second row was nofech, saper, and yalom, thuro, leshem, shavo, achlama. 4th row, tarshish, shom, and yashpe. Shoham was a stone, looks like. Enclosed in gold settings in their fillings. That's not gold fillings, that's something else. Gold settings in their fillings. These were the Avnei Miluim. And the stones were for the names of the sons of Israel, 12, corresponding to their names, similar to the gradings of a seal, everyone according to his name for the 12 tribes. Again, just reiterating the point that each tribe was engraved on one of their stones, their corresponding stone, which, by the way, is very cool. I think each tribe has a color. Each tribe has a precious stone. Each tribe had a flag. The symbology, and I'm not going to get enough of that word, the symbology in Judaism, in the Torah, is just so rich. Let's continue. For the choshen, they made chains at the edges of cable work, pure gold chains to attach everything. They made two golden settings and 2 golden rings, and they placed the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the choshen. They placed the 2 golden cables on the 2 rings at the ends of the choshen. That kind of sounds repetitive, but I'm sure there's something else there that's being added. And the 2 ends of the 2 cables, they placed upon the 2 settings, and they placed them upon the shoulder straps of the ephod on its front part. So basically the breastplate had chains and rings, and that attached to the shoulder straps that was attached to the me'il, to the apron that the high priest wore. That's how it was secured. And they made 2 golden rings and placed them on the 2 ends of the choshen on its edge that faced the inner side of the ephod. And they made 2 golden rings and placed them on the 2 shoulder straps of the ephod from below toward its front, adjacent to its seam, above the band of the ephod. All of these were discussed, by the way, in the previous portions that discussed the commandment to make it, but now it's talking about the making of. And they fastened, by the way, I like how it's they. Before it was he, now it's they. It seems like when it came to the garment making, it was definitely a team effort. And they fastened the choshen by its rings to the rings of the ephod with the cord of blue wool, so that it could be upon the band of the ephod, so that the choshen would not move off the ephod, as the Lord had commanded Moses. The choshen was meant to be stable and not be swinging around when the high priest would traverse the temple. Next reading begins now. And he made the robe of the ephod, the work of a weaver, completely of blue wool. So the robe was blue wool. And the opening of the robe was turned inward like the opening of a coat of armor. Its opening had a border around it so that it should not be torn. Hence, hems were born. Mazel tov, hems. This is where hems begin. It was folded in and it was sewn so that it should not be torn or frayed. And we're supposed to pray, but not fray. It's a different word. Pray and fray. All right. I'm sure that you're laughing with me in that non-joke. Let's continue. And they made the bottom of the hem of the robe pomegranates, right? We know this, right? They made on this bottom hem pomegranates of blue, purple, and crimson wool twisted. And they made bell bottoms, bells at the bottom. They made bells of pure gold, and they placed the bells in the midst of the pomegranates. Some say between, some say inside. All around the bottom hem of the robe in the midst of the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate. A bell and a pomegranate. And so on. All around the bottom hem of the robe to serve as the Lord had commanded Moses. We spoke a few weeks ago about why the bell. Why so noisy? And the answer we said is make noise. Why should terrorists have all the fun? I don't mean, why should evil have all the fun with making the headlines? Let's make noise when doing good things, right? Let's let good news be the news. And they made the linen tunics, the work of a weaver for Aaron and his sons, and the cap of linen, little hat, and the glorious high hats of linen for the regular Kohanim, the regular priests, and the linen pants of twisted fine linen, and the sash of twisted fine linen and blue and purple, and crimson wool of embroidery work as the Lord had commanded Moses. And finally, the forehead plate. They made the show plate, the holy crown of pure gold, and they inscribed upon it an inscription like the engravings of a seal, Kodesh LaHashem, holy to the Lord. These are the eight garments. And they placed upon it a cord of blue wool to place over the cap from above as the Lord commanded Moses, the little tie, little bonnet action on top. All the work of the Mishkan of the tent of meeting was completed. That's a big line. Hold on. Let's not let that get lost in the shuffle. They finished the work. All the work of the Mishkan of the tent of meeting was completed. The children of Israel had done it according to all that the Lord had commanded Moses. So they had done. In other words, hey-o, they did it. They got the commandment from Moses, from God. They brought the materials. Moses gave it to Betzalel and Eliab. They empowered and taught all the crafts people. They made the threads. They made the materials. They made the metal items. They made everything, the wooden things, and it was done. And now, verse 33, now they brought the Mishkan to Moses. They said, here you go. I don't know if they brought it to him or if they brought him to it. It says they brought it to Moses. I guess they, here you go. Here's an ark. Here's a menorah. Here's a this. Here's a that. They brought everything. The tent and all its furnishing, its clasps, its planks, its bars, its pillars, its sockets. The covering of ram skins dyed red. The covering of tachash skins, the screen and dividing curtain. The ark of testimony and its poles and the ark cover. The table and all its implements. By the way, again, we're reading about all the details for like the third or fourth time, right? Listing everything. The table, its implements, the showbread, the pure menorah, its lamps, the lamps to be set in order, and all its implements, and the oil for the lighting, the golden altar, the anointing oil, the incense, and the screen of the entrance of the tent, the copper altar, that's the outer altar, and its copper grating, its poles, and all its implements, the washstand and its base, the hangings of the courtyard, its pillars, its sockets, the screens for the gates of the courtyard, its ropes and its pegs, and all the implements for the service of the Mishkan of the tent of meeting, the meshwork garments for the service and the holy garments for Aaron the Kohen, and his son's garments for serving as Kohanim, in accordance with all that the Lord had commanded Moses. So did the children of Israel do all the work. And this is the verse that could have been said in replacement of everything else. It could have just said, in accordance with what God told Moses, so did the children of Israel, they did the work. In other words, they did everything they were commanded. And that could have summarized everything. But like I said a few days ago, then we would think that the main thing is the vision and not the implementation. And implementation is as holy, if not holier than the vision, even God's vision. Moses saw the entire work, and lo, they had done it. As the Lord had commanded, so they had done. So Moses blessed them. That's a very beautiful verse. Moses was so happy, he gave them a bracha. What was the blessing? Look at Rashi. He said to them, may it be his will, may it be God's will, that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, should rest in the work of your hands. In other words, as you built it, God should come. And Moses continued, this was his blessing to the people, to the builders, may the pleasantness of the Lord our God be upon it. And this is one of the 11 Psalms in a prayer of Moses. King David wrote Psalms that were really lifted from Moses' prayers, and this is one of them. V'hi noam Hashem Elokeinu aleinu u'mayis yedenu, etc. May the pleasantness of the Lord our God be upon us. Essentially, Moses blessed the people, saying, you've done well, you built this building, but it's not about the building, it's about God's revelation, God's presence here. Like I said last night in Tanya, God is everywhere, but God is revealed in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, and that's what Moses was praying for, that apparent reality, that revelation. Here we go. When is opening day, you might ask? When is this thing going to open? When's the ribbon cutting? Once again, God instructs Moses. Chapter 40 of Exodus, this is it. Final hurrah. Exodus is about to end. The book of Exodus is about to end. We're about to celebrate the Exodus and Passover in 2 weeks, but the story is about to end of the book of Exodus. The Lord spoke to Moses saying, on the day of the first month, on the first of the month, so Rosh Chodesh Nisan, 2449, on that day, you shall set up the Mishkan of the tent of meeting. That's your opening day. God says, mark your calendar, first of Nisan, that's when you set up the Mishkan. By the way, because I know you're wondering, well, when is the first of Nisan, right? When is the first of Nisan, let's say for this year, when would that be? So the English day today is March 12th, right? March 12th, you see that? Shabbos is the 13th. Sunday is the 14th. Rosh Chodesh. Oh, sorry, Sunday is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Yes, my friends, you heard correct. It has been, let me get a calculator here. Hold on. Let me see if, let me get my phone and do a calculator this way. So this year is, 1 second, please. Calculator. I'm sure you'll find this as intriguing as I do. 5781 minus 2449. 3,332 years ago, Sunday. This Sunday is when the Mishkan was first set up. This verse is where God tells Moses that is the day on the calendar. On the day of the first month, and the first of the month, Rosh Chodesh Nisan, you shall set up the Mishkan of the tent of meeting. There you shall place the ark of the testimony, and you shall spread the dividing curtain toward the ark. You shall bring in the table. Again, all the items mentioned again. Every time it goes through everything, the whole list. The table and set up its arrangement. You shall bring in the menorah and kindle its lamps. You shall place the golden altar for incense before the ark of the testimony. You shall place the screen of the entrance to the Mishkan. You shall place the altar of the burnt offering, the outer copper altar, in front of the entrance of the Mishkan of the tent of meeting. You shall place the washstand, right, that wash basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and there you shall put water. And you shall set up the courtyard all around. You shall put up the screen for the gate of the courtyard, and you shall take the anointing oil and anoint the Mishkan and everything within it, and you shall sanctify it and all its furnishings. Thus, it will become a holy thing. You shall anoint the altar. Yeah, Donna.
So the Sunday anniversary coincides with the week of the Daily Power Parsha anniversary.
Yes. Yes. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, it's all coming together. And that's beautiful. Let's jump in. You shall anoint the altar for the burnt offering and all its implements. You shall sanctify the altar, thus the altar will become a holy of holies. You shall anoint the washstand. Again, all the items get some of the oil. You shall anoint the washstand and its base and sanctify. You shall bring Aaron and his sons near the entrance of the tent of meeting. You shall bathe them in water. And you shall clothe Aaron with the holy garments. So Moses was instructed to bathe the Kohanim and then dress them in holy garments. And you shall anoint him, Aaron, and sanctify him so that he may serve me as a Kohen. And you shall bring his sons near and clothe them with tunics. And you shall anoint them as you have anointed their father, so that they may serve me as Kohanim. And this shall be so that their anointment shall remain for them an everlasting kahuna throughout their generations. Moses was the one to set it up, to train and anoint the priests, to get it open. That was his job. Thus Moses did according to all that the Lord had commanded him, so he did. It came to pass in the first month in the second year, the year after the Exodus. Second year meaning 1 year later after the Exodus. So the Exodus happened in the year 2448, and this is 2449. So it came to pass in the first month in the second year, on the first day of the month, Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Sunday is the anniversary that the Mishkan was set up. That's it. On that day that God designated for this big occasion, it was actually set up. Moses set up the Mishkan, placed its sockets, put up its planks, put it in its bars, set up its pillars. He spread the tent over the Mishkan. He placed the cover of the tent from it over it from above, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He took and placed, oh, you guessed it, we're going to go through it again. He took and placed the testimony into the ark. He put the poles upon the ark, placed the ark cover on the ark from above. He brought the ark into the Mishkan and placed the screen of the dividing curtains that formed the protective covering before the ark of the testimony, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He placed the table in the tent of meeting on the northern side of the Mishkan, outside the dividing curtain. He set upon an arrangement of bread, showbread, before the Lord, the 12 loaves, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He placed the menorah also in the tent of meeting, opposite the table, on the southern side of the Mishkan. He kindled the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He placed the golden altar, the inner incense altar, in the tent of meeting in front of the dividing curtain. He made the incense go up in smoke upon it, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He placed the screen for the entrance of the Mishkan, put a dividing curtain, or not a dividing curtain, that's before the ark, but a curtain blocking from the outside. The altar of the burnt offering he placed, that's the copper outer altar, he placed in front of the entrance of the Mishkan, of the tent of meeting, and he offered up the burnt offering and the meal offering upon it, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He placed the washstand between the tent of meeting and the altar, and he put there water for washing. And Moses, Aaron, and his sons would wash their hands and their feet from it when they entered the tent of meeting, and when they approached the altar, they would wash their hands and feet, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He set up the courtyard all around the Mishkan and the altar, and he put up the screen in the entrance to the courtyard, and Moses completed the work. So Moses did all the setup. He didn't do all the building, but he did all the setup, and it says Moses completed the work, although he didn't do all the work, right? He didn't do all the contribution, he didn't do all the manufacturing, but he was the one that God had commanded. He was the one that relayed the message. He was the one that did the audit. He was the one that got all the materials. He was the one that passed it from the donations to the craftspeople. He took it once they were done building it. He took it and set it up, and thus it is called by his name. It says Moses completed the work. And the cloud. Remember the cloud after the Exodus? The cloud which signified God's presence. The cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the Mishkan. In other words, it worked. It worked. They put it up, and lo and behold, God arrived. God's presence arrived. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud rested upon it, and the glory of the Lord filled the Mishkan. When the cloud rose up from over the Mishkan, the children of Israel set out in all their journeys. That was a sign to travel. When the cloud rose and started moving, quickly follow that follow that cloud. But if the cloud did not rise up, they did not set out until the day that it rose. Remember that the tabernacle, the Mishkan, was a portable sanctuary. Yeah. So when they moved, they packed it up. Well, when did they move? How often did they pick up and travel? Cloud navigation, my friends. It's all in the cloud. 3,332 years ago, like today, everything is in the cloud. The GPS, which is God positioning system, said travel, they traveled. That's it. But if the cloud did not rise up, they did not set out until the day that it rose. 4, final verse of the book of Exodus. And after this, we'll say the words chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek. Repeat after me. We'll do that soon. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the Mishkan by day, and there was fire within it at night, before the eyes of the entire house of Israel in all their journeys. And let us say chazak, chazak, v'nis chazek. Be strong, and may we be strengthened. We wish each other strength and good health and the ability to continue studying Torah and to come back to the Torah study to review it again and again and again. So this is the final verse. It's certainly a significant verse. It talks about God's glory by day, God's direction at night. In other words, a cloud by day, a fire by night, and everyone saw it. It was obvious. We spoke before about revelation of God, right? That's what we mean about revelation of God. Everybody saw God's presence. Is God everywhere in the world? Yes. But is God seen everywhere in the world? Oftentimes, no. But where did you see God? In the Mishkan. Mishkan, there was a cloud by day, fire by night. The whole thing was miraculous. You could see or sense at least God's presence, and that's what it was. And that's how they did it in all their journeys. And this reminds us that the true purpose of life is to journey, is to keep on moving forward, It's to keep on moving forward, knowing that God is directing us. Although today we don't see the cloud, we know and we believe that it's no different. So I'll share with you a teaching of the Baal Shem Tov as we close out DPP for this week, this beautiful lesson that I think will resonate with all of us. The Baal Shem Tov said that God guides the footsteps of every human being. Each one of us, where we go, when we go, where we go, it's all orchestrated by God. So often we don't see it. So often we don't sense it. Wouldn't we all love to have a clear and precise communication where God would say, hey, I need you in Kalamazoo this weekend. Go there and meet this person and do that thing and come back, and that's your purpose. It would be great if we had that. But so often we don't, not so often, but we don't typically have that communication from God. Rather, we have things that happen to us, things that we may even think that we choose, that are all orchestrated by God to get us where we need to be to do what we need to do. After that, it's certainly free choice whether we're going to do it or not, but to set us up in that place, that is by divine orchestration. So the Rebbe said often that if we find ourselves delayed, if a flight is delayed or if it lands, in a place that we didn't expect to be, that's not a mistake. Yeah, for you, it's unplanned, but that's the deepest insight into God's planning. In other words, when things go as planned, we're not sure if that's being orchestrated by God exactly or if that's us. But when things don't go as planned, oh, now you're getting a glimpse behind the curtain. Now it's, well, that's God tipping his hand, right? If God is betting, well, now we know exactly what God is, what the cards that God has. Now it's obvious, right? Yeah, you're flying to LA from Atlanta and it stops, unexpected, whatever, and it's stopping now in Austin, Texas. There you go. Now you know. Now you know. Now you know you need to be in Austin, Texas. So you can fight it and resist it. You can go kicking and screaming, no, I need to be in LA, really important. Yeah. Or you can go with God's plan. God says, I know where you want to be, but here's where I need you to be. So God guides the footsteps of every human being. Sometimes we're unaware, sometimes we're more aware. Again, sometimes when we're more aware of it, we fight it because our ego tells us that we really know where we need to be, even though God is clearly telling us where we need to be. Nonetheless, the point of all this is to say that God does give us the gift of direction. God gives us the gift of leading us where we need to be. Let's not block it. Let's not close ourselves off and reject it. Let's embrace it. God puts us where we are. Let's embrace it as where we need to be. Because when we find ourselves there, wherever there is, even if it wasn't on our itinerary, if we're there, God put us there. And if God put us there, the cloud is there, the fire is there, the spiritual energy is there. God is ready to be seen in that space. All we need to do is open our eyes. May this Shabbos be a Shabbos of open eyes. May we see the divine providence, DP, in all of our lives. May we truly see how God's hand guides us along this journey of life. We can look back in retrospect and see how a lot of things were orchestrated on high, but as it is right now for the present, where you are, where I am, is where we need to be. Let's embrace it. Let's make it a meaningful Shabbos and a meaningful week to come. Thank you for joining for Daily Power Parsha. Candle lighting this week is 6:25. So don't forget, let your candles 6:25. Sunday morning, Kabbalah and coffee. Sunday night, faith and fortitude with David Lazan's mom. Powerful event, an evening of Holocaust remembrance, hope, faith, resilience, and survival. David's mom is a survivor, Holocaust survivor. She'll tell her story. It's going to be incredible. So join us for that event Sunday night. If you've signed up and you haven't received the email with information about the login, don't worry. I'm going to send it, please God, in the next few hours. So stay tuned for that. You'll get the login info and all that good stuff. Also, for anyone who did the $36 registration option with the book's either arrived or should be arriving today or tomorrow, depending on the delivery folks that are delivering the books. All right. By delivery folks, I mean like UPS or whoever is FedEx or USPS.
Are we
All right.
meeting?
Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Are we meeting in person next week for the DPP?
I would like to. I need to check my Wednesday. Oh, I told you, right? My Wednesday got messed up. Like I was
so
planning on not being there Wednesday, but they canceled my Wednesday, and I think it's allegedly this Wednesday. But I'm gonna confirm there. I would like to do it Tuesday, if not Wednesday.
So I have a couple of
Oh,
doctors.
you said Tuesday's not good.
But going forward, I'm just putting it out there for myself. Tuesdays are better for me in the future than Wednesday. But
Well, how about Thursday this week?
Yeah, that's good.
So then I'm gonna look at Wednesday, if Wednesday. If not Wednesday, I'll look at Thursday as an alternative.
And then I could pick up the art kit too at the same time.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yes, we have those. We can't mail those because there's too much paint. That would be a little reckless.
Yeah.
So or all right, well let's figure that out. I'll let you know about the class, and then we can make arrangements. If not, we'll figure it out. Okay, good. All right, great to see you all, and wonderful to study together. We finished the book of Exodus. That's book number 2 of the new cycle. Can't wait to start Leviticus next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. We'll see you all. Shabbat shalom, to good health.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Sandrine. Great to see you, Matt. Great to see you, Ray.
Shabbat shalom.
Take care, Donna. Great to see you. Take care.